Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to talk on the chapter Theory of Bending Stresses. The contents of this chapter will be introduction. We will be talking about the simple bending theory, derivation of the bending formula, application of beams of various sections. We will also study the shear stress and we will derive the formulae for different sections, and then we will study the shear stress distribution across the various sections of the beams used. We will study the fixed beam or the composite beam and the bending stress and the shear stress, how to calculate in the case of the composite beams. So the members which are subjected to flexural load means bending load. So in many engineering structure, members are required to resist the force which are applied laterally or transversely to their axis. These type of members are known as beam. So beam is a member which carries lateral or transversal load. So there are many definitions. The first definition of beam can be given as the beam is a laterally loaded member whose cross-sectional dimensions are small as compared to its length. Second definition is a beam is nothing but is simply a bar which is subjected to the forces or the couples which lies in the plane containing the longitudinal axis of the bar. The forces are understood to act the perpendicular to the longitudinal axis of the bar. Third definition is a bar working under the bending is generally known as the beam. So these are some of the geometric sections which are used. So this is a rectangular section, this is a T section which is normally used, the I section, channel section, circular section and the triangular section. There can be hexagonal section also, there can be square section also. So mind you, these are the rolled section. So beam is either a rolled section or it is a fabricated beam in which we try to make the shape of this particular kind either of I or T by welding the two plates together. So the material of the beams, it can be made up of various material like metal, wood, concrete and plastic. So let us try to understand what is the concept of the pure bending. So in this case, this is a rectangular beam and this is a plane of the symmetry. So you see at every section we can see the plane of symmetry like this, and if we apply the moment at the end, so beam will bend like this, but these sections will remain plane. Okay. So internal reactions are developed on any cross section in the beam which may consist of resultant normal force and a resultant shear force and a resultant couple. In order to ensure that the bending effects alone, the resultant normal and the shear forces are zero on any particular perpendicular cross section which is perpendicular to this longitudinal axis. So longitudinal axis is this and the perpendicular action to the longitudinal axis is this. So F is equal to 0 since or M is equal to constant. So a zero shear force means that the bending moment is constant on the bending is same at every cross section of the beam. When beam or some portion of the beam has been loaded only by the pure couples at the end in the plane of the symmetry. So you see, this we are talking of when we have a beam which is of rectangular cross section. So this is a plane of symmetry which is perpendicular to the longitudinal axis which is passing through the neutral axis of the beam. So when we apply the couple, so the beam tends to bend like this, and these sections which are perpendicular to this longitudinal axis, they remains the plane. Now how the bending stresses are developed. So you see this is a portion of the beam. So this is a cross section. So it's a rectangular cross section. So the neutral axis, because it's a symmetrical axis about symmetrical section about vertical axis and the horizontal axis. So the neutral axis is lying at the middle. So we can consider these different stress elements. So the element, if we consider above this axis, so it will be having a compressive stress, and the element which is below the neutral axis, it will be under a tensile stress. So we can understand this like this also. When we apply the moment like this, so these layers which are above the neutral axis, they try to compress, and the layers which are below the neutral axis, they try to expand. So as a result, there is tension in the layers below the neutral axis, and there is a compression above the layers of neutral axis. So you see, if we reverse the direction of the bending moment, so it will be bending in this shape. So this particular phenomena of bending of beam is known as the sagging moment, and this is considered to be positive, and that we have understood. And if a beam is behaving like this, then it is said to be hogging beam, and which is considered to be as negative bending. Now, in order to derive the bending formula or the flexural formula, we use the theory of simple bending. For that, we assume certain assumptions. So what we have done, we have taken a portion of the beam in which we have taken a plane AC and BD. So we take a layer EF which is above the neutral axis, which is GS, and it is at a distance y from the neutral axis. So when because of the transverse load, so beam will take this shape. That means the point A will shift to A dash and point B will shift to B dash. So if we the point G will shift to G dash and point H dash. So that means the radius of curvature R, and this is our curvature angle. So we assume certain assumptions. Number one is the material is homogeneous and isotropic. Number two, the modulus of elasticity is same in tension as in compression. Number three, the stresses are within the elastic limit. Number four, the plane section remains plane even after deformation. Next is the beam is initially straight and every layer of it is free to expand. That means there are no undulations and beam is perfectly straight. Okay. And the next is the radius of curvature, which is R, is bent. Curvature of the bent beam is very large. Okay, as compared to the depth of the beam. So this is the depth of the beam. So these are the assumptions we take. So in order to derive the bending equation, we will consider these two conditions. So there exists a relationship among the applied moment, bending stress, and the bending deformation. So this relationship can be developed by dividing by having the two conditions. One is that we will try to develop a relationship between the bending stress and the radius of curvature. In the second instance, we will try to develop a relationship between applied bending moment and the radius of curvature. So let us go one by one. So the first instance, we consider a element AB of the beam as shown, and EF be a neutral layer and CD be the bottommost layer, and GH is a layer at the distance y from the neutral layer. So EF, initially AB is equal to EF is equal to GH is equal to CD. So if you see this figure, so AB is equal to EF is equal to GH. Okay, so EF is equal to GH. So EF is the neutral layer. Okay, so what we do, we see this figure. So initially they all are same. Okay, initially they all are same. If you see this figure, so AB is equal to EF is equal to GH is equal to CD. So this is what we are telling here. So now after the bending, A, B, C, D, E, F and H take the new position A dash, C dash, D dash, E dash, F dash, G dash and H dash as shown in the figure B. So here you see the A has shifted to A dash, B to B dash, E to E dash, F to F dash and G to G dash and H to H dash and C to C dash and D to D dash. So here we know that R is the radius of curvature and phi be the angle subtended by C dash A dash and D dash B dash at the center of radius of curvature. So in that case, because EF is a neutral, EF lies on the neutral axis, so there is no stress. So EF is equal to E dash F dash. Okay. So this is equal to R into phi, arc into radius. Okay. So strain in GH is equal to final length minus initial length upon the final length. So final length is G dash H dash minus GH divided by the original length, that is GH. So from here, so GH is equal to nothing, it is equal to EF. Okay. So it is this can be written from first equation that it is equal to R into phi. So G dash H dash is equal to R plus Y into phi. So if you see this figure, so it is R plus phi. So R plus phi into phi. This is G dash H dash. So arc upon radius. Okay. So you put the value of G dash, H dash and GH from the above relation in this ratio. So you will get, when you solve this R phi will deduct and this will be Y phi will be also cancelled. So you will get the strain which is equal to Y upon R. So this strain GH is due to the tensile forces. The strain in GH is equal to F times into EF. So where F is the tensile stress and E is the modulus of elasticity. So by Hooke's law we know that stress is equal to strain is equal to E times the strain. So now to consider the relationship between bending moment and radius of curvature. So what we do, we consider a arbitrary section of the beam and we consider a small area delta A below the neutral axis as a distance phi. Okay. So now from this consider the elemental area delta A at a y. So this is equal to sigma. Sigma is proportional to y upon r. So this E upon r is nothing. We can put this value from the previous relation. So force will be equal to this stress multiplied by the area, that is delta A. So the moment of resistance of this elemental force is equal to E upon r equal to y into this moment will be, the moment r will be y. So this force into y will be the moment. So if you multiply this, it will be E upon r y square into delta A. So the total moment of on this section will be equal to m dash. That will be a summation of this previous relation. So we can take out this E upon r as common. So it is equal to sigma y square delta A. So this is nothing but this is equal to the second moment of area about the centroidal axis. So therefore we can put this value over here. We get m dash is equal to E upon r and y square delta A is equal to r. So from the equilibrium condition, this m dash should be equal to the applied moment. So m dash is nothing but the moment of resistance of the beam with which the beam is made. So this m is equal to sigma E upon r into I. So we can have from here m upon I is equal to E into r. So if we combine the two relations, we will get m upon I is equal to sigma or f upon y is equal to E upon r, which is known as the bending equation, where m is the bending moment at the section, I is the moment of inertia about the centroidal axis, f is equal to bending stress or sigma, y is the distance of the fiber from the neutral axis where we want to calculate the stress, and E is the modulus of elasticity of the material of the beam, and r is the radius of curvature of the bent section. So these are the parameters, and this is the bending equation, and this is also known as the flexural formula or the bending formula. though the moment of carrying capacity of a section, because beam is made up of different material. So we have to choose the material. For choosing the material, we have to find out what will be the moment carrying capacity of that particular section. So from the previous formula we have M upon I is equal to F upon Y, or F is equal to M upon I into Y. So that means the bending stress is maximum when Y is maximum, because they are directly proportional. So in the other words, the maximum stress occurs in the extreme fiber, okay, and it is zero at where Y is zero. So Y is zero at the neutral axis. So that means it is proportional to Y. So in the design, F design, we restrict the maximum possible stress of the material. If this is a critical stress, so F critical is M upon I Y max. So M is equal to I upon Y max FBR. So if we rearrange these terms, so it will go here I into Y upon YR. So this term I upon Y max is known as the section modulus Z. So therefore M is equal to F critical into Z. So that means the moment of resistance or moment carrying capacity or strength of the beam, that will be proportional to the section modulus. Okay. So the more the value of the section modulus, the more will be the carrying capacity for that particular material beam. So this is an important parameter for designing the beam. So now if the moment of inertia, this has a unit of millimeter or meter M4, and Y max is maybe meter or millimeter. So Z will be having a unit of millimeter cube or meter cube. The permissible maximum moment on the section is known as the moment carrying capacity of that particular section. So this section, as we have discussed earlier, this section will be as a regular section. We can have different section like rectangular, hollow rectangular, T section, I section, box section, triangular section, circular section. So let us see how to calculate the Z in each case. So let us first take the rectangular section, which is having a depth D and the width B. So the centroid will lie at the neutral axis. So this is Y max will be D by 2. So the stress will be maximum here, stress will be maximum here. So I we know is BD cube upon 12 about the neutral axis. So Z is I upon Y max. So if we put this value, so this is BD square upon 6. Similarly for calculating the rectangular section, what we can do, we can calculate the moment of inertia of the outer rectangle, and we can calculate the moment of inertia of the inner rectangle, and we can subtract them. So it is BD cube upon 12 upon BD cube upon 12. In the same fashion we did here. So when we solve it, so Y max will be capital D by 2. So this will be the value or the section modulus for the hollow box section. Now if we have a circular cross section, then I is equal to pi D square upon 64, where D is the diameter of this circular cross section. So Y max is D by 2. So this is Z is equal to pi upon 32 dq. Similarly for the ring section or for a hollow section, so we can calculate the I of the outer circle radius, outer circle section, and we can subtract the inner circle. So it will give us D by 2. So Z is equal to this. So for having the section modulus for the triangular section, what we know that I is equal to BH cube upon 36, where B is the base and H is the height. So this neutral axis lies at a distance of 2h upon 3 from the apex. So all these things we have studied in engineering mechanics. So Y max is equal to 2 by 3h, and Z will be equal to I upon Y max. So therefore Z is equal to PH square upon 24. So when proportioning the section or designing the beam, these are the steps or these are the salient points which we have to keep in mind. Number one, in designing a beam, the span of beam is known and the load expected on the beam can be estimated. So we know how much long the beam would be, or what is the requirement of the length of the beam. Hence the bending moment to be resisted by beam can be calculated. So a designer has to select the suitable section of the beam of the desired material. Theoretically speaking, the section required changes along the span. Usually the uniform sections are used. Hence the section selected should be capable of resisting the maximum movement. So this is what we have seen. In the case of circular section, we may find the diameter required, since the section modulus required depend upon the diameter. In the case of rectangular section, we have to find width and the depth. Okay. And for the steel sections, we can use ISI book or the steel book, which gives all these parameters, and we can proportion the beam according to those parameters. So now we must know how to calculate the moment of inertia if we are not going to use the standard section. So what is moment of inertia? So moment of inertia of a body is obtained by summing up the products of its various particles with the square of their distance from a given axis. So parallel axis theorem, so it says that the moment of inertia about any axis parallel to the centroidal axis, okay, equal to the moment of inertia through the centroidal axis plus the product of area of the figure and the square of distance between those two axes. So if we have to calculate for the rectangular section, so we know that I is equal to, by the definition we know that I is y square into area. So minus d by 2 d by 2. So these are the limits. So if you put there, if you will get bd cube upon 12. So by parallel axis theorem, so if you want to calculate about AB, so AB is equal to IXX. IXX is bd cube upon 12 plus A is the area of this section. So area into the distance, and distance between them we have considered it is x is d by 2. So this is the distance between the two axes. Okay. So we can make use of this. So therefore the section modulus about x-axis will be this, and if we have to calculate about AB, then we have, instead of IXX, we have to use the IAB. Sorry. Now for the rectangle section, similarly we have studied IX-axis with this, so ZX we can calculate. For I section also we can calculate accordingly, and for C section, so C section what we can do, we can assume this as a rectangular section, and we can take out the moment of inertia of this rectangle. So that will give you us the moment of inertia of C section. For finding the I section, what we can do, we can take out the, we can calculate the moment of inertia of this rectangle, which is having a width b and the depth d, and we can take out these portions, these two rectangles. So that will give straight away the moment of inertia. It is a fast way of calculating the moment of inertia. Now for the triangular section, so we know about IXX is BD cube upon 36. So about AB, it can be BD cube upon 12. So how we can calculate? We know the area of this triangle, we know this distance, this distance will be d by 3, and we, so this plus a into d by 3 ka whole cube. So this we can calculate. So similarly for the circular cross section, we know about this, we can calculate. Hollow section also we can make use, we can calculate the outer circle moment of inertia IHS, and then we can subtract the inner circle moment of inertia. So now we can solve, we can see one or two examples how to make use of this formula in the different situations. So let us take first example. It says that a simply supported beam of span 3 meter has a cross section of 120 by 180 mm. So that means it is a rectangular cross section. If the permissible stress in the material is given as 10 megapascal, determine the maximum UDL it can carry. So and maximum concentrated load at a point 1 meter away from the support it can carry. Okay. So let us assume that the UDL or the uniform distributed load is W per meter. So B is given, D is given, so I will be PD cube upon 12 and Y will be D by 2. So Z will be calculated. So Z is so much, and design stress is given 10 Newton per millimeter square or 10 megapascal. So moment carrying capacity is the design stress into multiplied with Z. So we calculate this. So let it can carry the load like this. So we know that maximum bending moment occurs at the mid span in the case of supported beam, which is equal to WL square by 8. So this WL square, L is 3 meter by 8. This is equal to the moment carrying capacity. So we can calculate the value of W, which is 5.76 kilonewton per meter. Similarly, if we apply a load, concentrated load 1 meter from this support, so we can calculate the moment in this case. So the moment in this case will be 2P by 3, and when we equate this is equal to the carrying capacity, so we can calculate the. So this is how we can design a beam which is simply supported in two different situations. Next example is of a I-beam and it is cantilever. So figure shows a cross section of a cantilever beam which is 2.5, here it should be 2 meter. So it is 2.5 sorry. So material used for the steel for which the maximum possible stress is so much. What is the maximum uniformly distribution load it can carry if the symmetric section centroid is at the mid depth? So I is equal to moment of inertia of the three triangles about this. Three rectangles, one is this outer one and two this. So this way you can calculate, you have used the formula. So BD cube upon 12 plus area into the distance between them. Okay. So this is how you can calculate the moment of inertia of this I beam, and Y max is given at the outermost point is 200. So Z is equal to I upon Y max, so it will be so much. So the moment carrying capacity is given, that we have calculated, the critical stress is given. So if UDL is W kilonewton or Newton per meter, so in that case, because it is cantilever, so it will be having the maximum moment as WL. So this will be 2 multiplied by this one into L. Okay. So because length is given 2 meter. So equating these two conditions, so you will get W is equal to 68 4. So this way you can calculate. A third example also we can see, in which we can decide the dimension of the strongest beam. So it says that a circular log of timber has a diameter D. Find the dimension of the strongest rectangular section one can cut from this. So we assume that this log of the timber is having a diameter D. So let us assume a section and the dimensions are D and P. So D is the depth and B is the width. Okay. So in this case, from this triangle, we can write this relation, that D square is equal to B square plus D square, or we can rewrite, so D square is equal to this. So for the rectangular section, we know that BD cube upon 12 and Y will be D by 2, because we are going to calculate the maximum strength of this beam. So Z is equal to this. So Z we can calculate, it is coming like this. So this Z, the beam will be strongest if the section modulus is maximum. Okay. So this if we equate is equal to 0. So when we equate this equal to 0, so we get the B is equal to D upon root 3, and we can put this value in this relation. So we can get the depth. So hence our strongest beam will be of the dimension which is D by root 3 wide and root 2 upon 3 D. So this way we can find the strongest beam which can be cut from a circular log of wood. So I think I have given you the basic concept of theory of the bending stresses. So this will make you to facilitate solving more questions and in the different situations. So thank you.